The hospital corridor buzzed with the rhythm of rushing footsteps, echoing beeping machines, and quiet urgency. Among the chaos, a young black nurse moved swiftly, balancing compassion with precision. But in a single moment, the atmosphere shifted. A senior doctor, with arrogance dripping from every word, threw an insult at her. Loud enough for everyone to hear. Laughter rippled through the crowd, leaving her standing still, humiliated. What no one knew was that she carried a secret that would flip the entire hospital upside down. By the end of the day, her next move would silence every mocking voice. Her name was Dr. Maya Richardson, though few in the hospital knew her by that title. She had started her career as a nurse years ago, working her way through endless night shifts, patient crises, and the unspoken prejudices that trailed her at every turn. Her warmth and dedication won patients' trust, yet colleagues often overlooked her brilliance. Maya had just returned from completing her surgical fellowship abroad, one of the most prestigious programs in the world. Quietly, she had accepted a new position at the very hospital where she began. Though her role was no longer limited to long shifts in scrubs, she was returning as the new chief of surgery. But for now, she moved through the halls humbly, observing, blending in. She wanted to see the staff as they really were, without the veil of authority clouding their behavior. The corridors told her everything she needed to know. Some nurses hustled with genuine care, while others moved with resentment, weighed down by years of thankless labor. Doctors strutted with pride, their status hanging heavy in the air. And beneath it all, subtle hierarchies thrived. That morning, when the senior surgeon barked at her for standing in the way and muttered an insult about her being just another black nurse, the old wounds reopened. She had endured such remarks before, dismissed, underestimated, reduced to a stereotype. But this time, the situation was different. The room held its breath, expecting her to shrink back, to swallow the sting in silence. But Dr. Maya Richardson was no longer the young nurse learning her place. She was about to remind the entire hospital exactly who she had become. The insult lingered in the air like poison, and with it came the uneasy laughter of those who didn't dare defy the senior doctor. Maya steadied herself, her face calm, but her heart pounding. Not from embarrassment, but from the choice she had to make.
If you believe in justice, hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a story that matters.
She could walk away, let the moment pass, and reveal her true position in the safety of a private office later. Or she could stand her ground now, in this very corridor, and hold up a mirror to every prejudice that had festered in silence. She chose the latter. Over the next hours, Maya watched the dynamics unfold. Nurses hesitated before speaking up in rounds, their voices brushed aside as if they were invisible. Interns scrambled to please, tripping over their own words to win the approval of arrogant seniors. Patients, especially those of color, often faced dismissive tones, their concerns barely acknowledged. She saw herself in those moments. Years ago, she had swallowed her voice, believing silence was the safest path forward. She had endured the sting of being overlooked, of being praised only when her labor became indispensable, never when her ideas held weight. And now she saw how little had changed. The whispers spread quickly. "Did you see the nurse get scolded?" Some giggled behind clipboards. The insult replayed like gossip on a loop, reducing her to a punchline. The very staff she had hoped to uplift were now bystanders to her humiliation. Yet Maya remained composed. She joined morning briefings, offering small but sharp insights on surgical procedures, her words carrying the quiet authority of someone who had seen beyond textbooks and simulations. Some noticed. A few paused, wondering how a nurse could speak with such mastery, but most brushed it aside. Meanwhile, the senior doctor, Dr. Harold Kent, continued his parade of superiority. He interrupted, dismissed, and belittled not only her but others, wielding his title like a weapon. For him, hierarchy was law and respect was earned only by seniority, not by skill, not by character, certainly not by those he deemed beneath him. By midday, the hospital gathered for a scheduled announcement in the main conference room. Staff filled the seats, whispering, speculating about who the new chief of surgery might be. The room buzzed with anticipation. Maya entered quietly, still wearing her nurse's uniform. Eyes flicked toward her, some rolling, others smirking, remembering the morning's scene. In their minds, she was the least likely candidate for anything of importance. Dr. Kent leaned back confidently, assuming he was in line for the honor. His smug smile widened as the hospital director took the stage. What happened next would shift the air so dramatically that no one would forget that day. The director's voice echoed, "It is my privilege to introduce our new chief of surgery." Every head turned expectantly toward Dr. Kent, whose posture swelled with self-importance. But the next words shattered his certainty. "Dr. Maya Richardson." For a heartbeat, silence consumed the room. Then came the murmurs, sharp gasps, and stunned disbelief. The nurse who had been insulted hours earlier now walked to the front, not in scrubs defined by hierarchy, but in authority that could not be denied. Dr. Kent's smirk collapsed into shock. His eyes darted between Maya and the director, searching for a mistake, an explanation that would undo this reality. But none came. Maya stood tall, her presence commanding yet calm. She did not gloat, nor did she return the insults hurled at her earlier. Instead, she spoke with grace. She thanked the hospital for trusting her with the position, and she spoke of the values she intended to uphold: respect, equity, compassion, and excellence. Her words weren't merely a speech, they were a reckoning. Every nurse who had once felt invisible now saw a reflection of possibility. Every patient who had sensed bias in the system felt a whisper of hope. And for Dr. Kent, it was a mirror held to his arrogance. His insult had not diminished her. It had revealed him. The applause that followed was not just for her appointment, but for the justice quietly served in that very moment. The power dynamics of the hospital had shifted, and everyone knew it. The days that followed brought transformation. Maya's leadership rippled through every corridor. She instituted changes that gave nurses a stronger voice in decision-making, recognizing that their frontline insights often held the key to patient care. She mentored young interns with patience, teaching them that respect was not a privilege reserved for the powerful, but the foundation of true medicine. Patients noticed the shift too. A warmth replaced the cold formality of the wards. Voices were heard, concerns validated, and dignity restored. As for Dr. Kent, his arrogance no longer commanded the same audience. The staff who once laughed nervously at his cruelty now saw through the facade. Maya didn't seek revenge against him. Instead, she held him to the same standard she held everyone else. Accountability became the new order. What made the impact most profound was not the downfall of a single arrogant doctor, but the rise of an entire hospital culture. Maya's story spread far beyond the building's walls, resonating with those who had ever been underestimated, mocked, or silenced.